In November of 2023, a California labor judge ordered one man, Narvel Blackstock, to hand more than $2.5 million back to Kelly Clarkson. The exact figure was $2,641,374, and it was not a settlement she begged for. It was money a state official ruled had been taken from her improperly. And the man on the other side of that order was not some faceless agency or a stranger in a suit. He was the person she had trusted with everything. For 7 years, he was her manager. For another 7, he was also her husband. And the entire arrangement, every dollar of it, rested on nothing more than a handshake from 2007. We have read enough bad contracts to know the dangerous ones are always the deals nobody ever bothered to write down. Over the next 20 minutes, we are going to take this apart in 3 pieces. First, the deal itself, and how a verbal agreement quietly moved millions for over a decade. Second, the strange California law that almost nobody outside the industry understands, the one that turned that deal into a liability overnight. And third, the family pattern sitting underneath all of it, because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Let us start with the handshake. In 2007, Kelly Clarkson was already a phenomenon. She had won the very first season of American Idol back in 2002, live in front of the entire country, and her albums were selling in the tens of millions. Coming off that run, she was signed to RCA Records, the label that had distributed her breakout singles to radio stations across the country. That year, she also signed on with a management company called Starstruck. The firm was run by Narvel Blackstock, a Nashville power broker who had spent decades managing one of the biggest names in all of country music. She also had representation through Creative Artists Agency, known in the industry as CAA, one of the largest talent agencies in the world, whose licensed agents were there specifically to procure her work. There was no thick contract and no signing ceremony with Starstruck, just an understanding that the firm would guide her career and take 15% of everything she earned. In the music business, that kind of verbal deal is more common than people think. Trust quietly does the work that paper is supposed to do. For years, it worked. Or at least it looked like it worked. Clarkson's career did not just survive the post-Idol curse that swallows almost every reality show winner. It exploded. She became a coach on The Voice, one of the most watched shows on American television. She landed her own daytime program, The Kelly Clarkson Show, which went on to win Emmy after Emmy. She put her name on a furniture line with Wayfair. She fronted national campaigns for Norwegian Cruise Line. By the peak of all of it, court filings would later reveal that her combined income from The Voice and her talk show alone reached roughly $1.9 million a month. The 15% flowing out of that was an enormous number, and it was still running on a conversation from 2007. Somewhere in those years, the relationship changed. Clarkson grew close to Narvel's son, Narvel Blackstock, who also worked inside the family management business. They started dating, and in October of 2013, they got married. And this is the detail that makes the whole story turn. The man managing her career was now also her husband. The person negotiating her deals, taking a cut of her income, and sitting across from her at the kitchen table at night, had become the same man. Under the law, a situation like that carries a name. It is a breach of fiduciary duty, the obligation a trusted representative owes to the person they are supposed to be protecting. But none of that legal language was anywhere in the room at the time. For most of us, that would feel like the ultimate safety. The two families had blended into one. Brandon's kids and Kelly's kids were now a single household, and the business handling her tens of millions of dollars was quite literally a family business run by the people she loved. The trust did not just hold steady, it deepened. Who is ever going to protect your money better than the person you married? We want you to sit for a second with how completely normal this felt from the inside. There was no villain twirling a mustache. There was a wife who trusted her husband, a husband who ran the business, and a 15% fee that just kept flowing out the door, year after year, on a deal nobody had ever put in writing. The money was real. The contract was a memory of a conversation. And as long as everyone in that house was happy, nobody had a single reason to look closely at the arrangement. Then, in June of 2020, Kelly Clarkson filed for divorce. And the moment a marriage built like that one comes apart, every comfortable assumption about the money suddenly needs a hard answer. That is when the handshake from 2007 stopped being a sign of trust and became the single most important question in a courtroom. Which brings us to the second piece, and it is the part almost every retelling of this story skips right over. To understand how Clarkson clawed back millions of dollars, you have to understand a California law called the Talent Agencies Act, codified under California Labor Code Section 1700. Stay with us on this, because it is the engine of the entire case. In California, there is a hard legal line between two jobs that sound similar, but are not the same thing at all. A talent agent is licensed by the state, and the agent's actual job is to procure work. Procuring work means going out and finding jobs, booking the gigs, negotiating the deals, not just advising on them. A personal manager is not licensed, and a manager is only supposed to advise and guide, to shape the bigger career, not to book the jobs. That line matters because the law is blunt about it. If you are an unlicensed manager and you cross over into procuring work, you have broken the Talent Agencies Act. And the reason that law is so sharp comes down to the penalty, which is not a fine at all. The entire deal can be declared void, and the manager can be ordered to give back every commission they ever collected on the work they were never licensed to touch. That remedy traces back to a 1967 California case involving Jefferson Airplane's co-founder, whose lawsuit established that unlicensed procurement was not merely a violation, but a basis for full disgorgement of commissions. By some industry estimates, personal managers have been forced to forfeit hundreds of millions of dollars over the years under this exact rule. Think about what that actually means in practice. If your manager picks up the phone, calls a television network, and negotiates your salary on a show, that is procuring work. Giving you advice over dinner is perfectly legal. Booking the job for you is not, unless they happen to hold the license. One act of crossing that line, one negotiation a manager was never allowed to run, can be enough to unravel the entire arrangement. And that is exactly why a manager who is also your husband is so dangerously exposed. Every deal he touches is a deal he might not have had any right to touch. So when the divorce turned into a financial war, Clarkson's side took the arrangement straight to the California Labor Commissioner and made a simple, devastating argument. Starstruck and Brandon Blackstock had not just been managing her. They had been acting as unlicensed talent agents, going out and procuring her work. And under California Labor Code Section 1700, they were never entitled to those commissions in the first place. On the 21st of November, 2023, the Labor Commissioner agreed. The ruling ordered Brandon Blackstock to repay $2,641,374. And the breakdown is worth hearing line by line because it shows you exactly where the money came from. From the Voice alone, just under $1.98 million. From the Wayfair deal, $450,000. From Norwegian Cruise Line, $208,000. And from a single Billboard Music Awards booking, the order put the figure at $93.30. $93. In a case worth millions, the state of California still went back and itemized $93.30. It was not a total wipeout for Blackstock. The commissioner found that one major deal had actually been procured lawfully, in coordination with Clarkson's licensed agents over at Creative Artists Agency, CAA, and let him keep roughly $750,000 in commissions tied to the Kelly Clarkson show. So this was never a judge simply deciding the marriage felt unfair. This was a precise, surgical finding about which exact dollars the law allowed him to keep, and which dollars it did not. If you are getting something out of how this actually works, take a second to subscribe, because we break down the real money behind famous names every single week. Now, the timeline does something almost everyone gets completely backwards. There is a version of this story floating around the internet where a bitter ex-wife went hunting for her former husband's money. That is not what happened. The court records tell the exact opposite story. Go back to 2020. Clarkson filed for divorce in June. 3 months later, in September of 2020, it was Starstruck that went on the attack first. The management company sued her, claiming she owed them around $1.4 million in unpaid commissions. Their complaint went even further, projecting that by the end of that year, she would owe the firm somewhere north of $5.4 million, and listing her estimated commissions for 2020 alone at over $3.3 million. In other words, the family business did not quietly walk away from the marriage. It came after her for millions of dollars first. Only then did Clarkson counterpunch with the Talent Agencies Act petition that would eventually flip the entire case on its head. The people demanding more money from her ended up being the ones ordered to give a fortune back. That is the reversal sitting at the center of this story, and it is the reason the bitter X framing falls apart the second you actually look at the dates. Brandon Blackstock did not accept the ruling. In December of 2023, he appealed, triggering what the courts call a de novo review, meaning the whole dispute would be relitigated from scratch in a full trial set for August of 2024, rather than simply reconsidered on the existing record. The judge overseeing it, Wendy Chang, made it clear there would be no narrow do-over. The court was going to relitigate the entire thing, and she ordered Blackstock to post a bond of nearly $4 million just to keep his appeal alive. That trial never happened. In May of 2024, both sides reached a confidential settlement and dismissed their claims with prejudice, which means neither one of them can ever bring them back. And because that deal was sealed, the public will never know the final terms. We want to be honest with you about the limits of what is actually on the record here. People ask all the time how much Clarkson paid Starstruck in total across those 13 years. That number has never been disclosed. Her own lawsuit actually demanded a full and complete accounting of every dollar the firm received, precisely because even she could not see the whole total. So when you come across a video confidently stating some 13-year figure, understand that it is a guess. The only hard number the state of California ever put its own name to is the one we started with. Which leaves the third thread, the one that turns this from a story about one bad marriage into something that looks a whole lot more like a pattern. Remember Narvel Blackstock, the father who founded Starstruck and first signed Clarkson back in 2007? Decades earlier, Narvel had managed another absolutely enormous female star. Her name is Reba McEntire. He was her manager, and then he became her husband, and for 26 years, he ran her business and her marriage at the very same time. When they finally divorced in 2015, Reports put Narvel's share of that split at around $47.5 million. Years later, sitting on a daytime talk show, McEntire described what that marriage had really been built on. She said it was always business, pillow talk, whatever, but at the end of the day, business. Sit with that for a second. One of the most beloved women in all of country music, looking back on a 26-year marriage, and the single word she reached for was business. That is the same word and the same family that would one day be sitting across the kitchen table from Kelly Clarkson. So just look at the shape of it. A father manages and marries one of the biggest women in country music and walks away with tens of millions of dollars. His son manages and marries one of the biggest women in pop music, and the state of California has to order him to give millions back. 2 generations of the same family, the same exact playbook, the same blurred line between a marriage and a commission check. And the financial imbalance inside Clarkson's own marriage was staggering. While she was pulling in roughly $1.9 million a month at her peak, reporting around the divorce indicated Brandon was bringing in something closer to $10,000 a month. And yet, when the support payments were worked out, Clarkson was the one paying him. She was ordered to pay over $115,000 a month in temporary spousal support, plus more than $45,000 a month in child support, even though she held primary custody of their 2 children. Stop and sit with how upside down that is. The far wealthier parent, the one raising the kids most of the time, was writing monthly checks to the parent who earned a tiny fraction of what she did. It is the kind of detail that makes people in the comments lose their minds, and every bit of it is real. She also kept the sprawling Montana ranch she had bought during the marriage, a property valued at around $10.4 million, which the court noted cost roughly $81,000 a month just to keep running. There is one more detail people always ask about. A woman who had once worked as Clarkson's own assistant relocated to Montana in June of 2020, the same month the divorce was filed. Years later, when Brandon Blackstock passed away, his obituary described her as his partner in life and in business. That same obituary did not mention Kelly Clarkson at all. We are going to leave the timing exactly where the public record leaves it, and let you draw your own conclusion. Because in August of 2025, Brandon Blackstock died at his ranch in Montana at the age of 48, after a private battle with melanoma. Whatever anyone thinks about how he ran the business, that is a man gone far too young, and 2 kids who lost their dad. So what do we actually take away from all of this? Strip away the celebrity names and the $10 million ranch, and you are left with something that can happen to almost anyone. The real danger was never that Kelly Clarkson trusted the wrong person. The danger was that the trust quietly replaced the paperwork. It was a 15% deal sealed on nothing but a handshake, with a husband sitting on both sides of every single negotiation, and a fee that kept flowing for 13 straight years because everyone was happy and nobody had a reason to read the fine print. Mostly because there was never any fine print to read in the first place. The only thing that saved her in the end was a technicality buried deep in California law, a licensing rule under Labor Code Section 1700 that happened to draw a line her manager had crossed. That is a frighteningly thin thread to hang $2.5 million on. Almost no one in her exact position would have ever known that line even existed. We will tell you what we tell ourselves every time we sign anything at all. When we signed the lease on our very first office, 31 pages of it, we read every single one of them, twice, even the parts we were completely sure did not matter. Because the moment a relationship sours, the only thing left standing to protect you is what was written down. The handshake is not your friend. The contract is, and if this can happen to a woman earning almost $2 million a month, with lawyers and accountants and an entire industry built around her, it can absolutely happen to you on a deal a tenth of the size. The paperwork is boring, but it is also the only version of the story that still protects you when the trust finally runs out. If you want more breakdowns exactly like this one, where we follow the money behind the famous names and show you how the deals really work underneath, subscribe and stick around. We have got a lot more of these coming your way.